Your surroundings are not silent. They speak, they influence, they teach, but sometimes they also corrupt. Every object in your environment is more than just its material form. It holds an energy, a memory, a vibration. If that vibration is heavy, unclean, or charged with dark intention, it will slowly seep into your own energy. You may think it is harmless to keep certain items, but the unseen world is not bound by what you can touch or measure. It operates through symbols, through resonance, through the quiet transfer of energy from the object to the soul. There are items that knowingly or unknowingly invite the presence of what is not welcome, energies that disturb peace, cloud judgment, and weaken your inner strength. Think of it this way: your home is like your inner garden. When you keep items linked to anger, fear, violence, occult practices, or harmful symbolism, you are planting seeds of poison. You may not see the effects in a single day, but the roots grow silently. Soon, anxiety replaces calm, conflict replaces harmony, and heaviness replaces clarity. These objects are like open doors, doors you may not even realize you have left unguarded. Just as you would not allow a thief to enter your home while you sleep, you must not allow negative energies to take root through the very things you display, wear, or treasure. The first step is awareness. Look closely at the images on your walls, the jewelry you wear, the gifts you accept, the ornaments you keep. Ask, what does this symbolize? Where does it come from? Does it align with the energy I wish to live in? If the answer is unclear or uneasy, remove it. Release it with intention. By doing so, you are not merely cleaning your space, you are reclaiming authority over what influences your life. You are closing the invisible gates that others leave open without thought. Remember, purification is not only about removing what is bad, but also about strengthening what is good. Fill your space with objects that remind you of peace, virtue, and higher purpose. Surround yourself with symbols of wisdom, growth, and light. Your environment shapes you far more than you realize. When your space is guarded, your mind becomes still. When your mind is still, your spirit becomes unshakable. This is how you protect yourself, not only from what is seen, but from what moves quietly in the shadows. Your environment is an extension of your mind, and every object within it has the power to influence you in ways that are both visible and unseen, because every item carries with it an energy, a memory, a vibration that can either uplift or weaken your inner state. So if we are unaware of this reality, we may unknowingly keep things that slowly open pathways for unrest, heaviness, and confusion to enter our lives. It is not always the large, obvious items that cause disturbance, but often the small and seemingly harmless ones. The strange figurine picked up from a market without knowing its origin. The piece of art gifted by someone whose life is marked by anger or turmoil. The jewelry engraved with symbols we do not understand yet wear daily, thinking they are only decoration. Yet such objects can be carriers of energy that does not belong in our personal space, and over time, their presence subtly affects the way we think, feel, and respond to life. The ancient traditions teach that negative energy is not only about emotional conflict, but can also be attached to things that represent violence, fear, or the manipulation of unseen forces. And these things become like silent messengers that call in the same type of energy they represent. Just as a seed grows into the tree that matches its kind, so too does a symbol or item invite the energy of its own nature. This is why a home filled with items of peace and virtue feels calm, while a home filled with strange or heavy symbols feels tense even when nothing bad is visibly happening, because the energy moves subtly and constantly, shaping the atmosphere and influencing the people who live there, sometimes causing unrest in relationships, mental unease, or even unexplained exhaustion. To truly protect ourselves, we must learn to see beyond the surface and evaluate each item in our space with questions like, where does this come from? What does it symbolize? How do I feel when I look at it? If the answer is discomfort, confusion, or uncertainty, it is safer to release it than to keep it out of attachment or habit. For holding on to such things is like keeping an open window during a storm, allowing what is outside to drift in without control. In the same way we clean our bodies and choose the food we eat with care, we must practice spiritual hygiene for our surroundings, because a pure environment supports a pure mind, and a pure mind guards the spirit. Removing objects that hold heavy or harmful energy is not an act of fear, but an act of wisdom. For it is not enough to simply block out the negative. We must also fill the space with what is good, with items that carry reminders of growth, kindness, courage, and truth, because when you surround yourself with such things, you create a field of strength that naturally repels what does not belong. Think of your home, your workspace, even your personal belongings as a reflection of your inner world. When they are aligned with the values you wish to live by, your life flows more peacefully. But when they are cluttered with symbols and energies that oppose your purpose, life becomes a constant uphill struggle without a clear reason why. By consciously removing these objects and replacing them with what nourishes the spirit, you not only change the look of your space, but you shift its unseen frequency. And in doing so, you protect yourself from influences that work quietly yet persistently to weaken you. This is the path of awareness, to see, to choose, and to guard, so that your life remains a place of light where no darkness finds a doorway in. Every environment you live in is more than walls, furniture, and decoration. It is a living reflection of your inner state, and every object within it carries a subtle energy that can shape your thoughts, emotions, and even your spiritual well-being. Many people think that a physical object is nothing more than its material form, but in truth, each one carries the imprint of its origin, the intentions behind its creation, and the energy of those who have handled it. Some items hold a light, uplifting presence, while others carry a heaviness that drains vitality and clouds mental clarity. Without awareness, we may keep things in our homes or close to our bodies that open unseen pathways for disturbance, tension, and emotional imbalance. It could be a painting with unsettling imagery, a figurine tied to cultural or spiritual practices we do not understand, a piece of jewelry carved with symbols whose meanings are hidden from us, or even gifts from people who are themselves burdened with anger, jealousy, or resentment. While they may seem harmless to the physical eye, such objects can subtly influence the spiritual atmosphere of a space, attracting energies that mirror their symbolism or history. The ancient wisdom traditions teach that energy responds to its likeness. A symbol of fear invites more fear. An image of violence invites more unrest, just as seeds grow into the trees that match their kind. Over time, these influences can make a home feel heavier, less peaceful, and more prone to conflict or emotional strain, even if we cannot immediately trace the cause. The energy of these items works quietly and constantly, reshaping the tone of our days until we either adapt to the discomfort or decide to consciously remove the source. To protect and strengthen yourself, you must learn to see your surroundings with new eyes, asking questions that reach beyond surface beauty or sentimental value. Where did this object come from? What does it represent? How do I feel when I see it? If the answer leaves you uncertain, uneasy, or disconnected from your inner peace, it is wise to let it go. Releasing such items is not an act of fear but of clarity, a way of closing invisible doors that allow unwanted energies to enter. Just as you would wash your hands after touching something unclean, you must cleanse your environment of objects that hold the residue of negative influence. This act of cleansing should not stop with removal alone. Once space is freed, it should be filled with symbols and items that embody peace, wisdom, courage, and truth. These serve as constant reminders of the energy you wish to live in and act as guardians, creating a field of strength around you. Your home, your personal space, even the objects you carry daily are like mirrors to your inner state. When they align with the values and intentions you wish to cultivate, your life flows with greater harmony and clarity. But when they hold contradictions to your purpose, life can feel like an uphill struggle for reasons that seem hidden. Practicing this form of spiritual hygiene is a discipline, just as caring for the body and mind is a discipline. By consciously choosing what belongs in your space and removing what does not, you take back authority over your environment and protect your spirit from influences that work in silence. This is the quiet yet powerful way to ensure that no darkness finds a doorway into the sanctuary of your life. The space around you is not just a physical arrangement of objects. It is an energetic field that interacts with your mind and spirit in ways that are constant and often unnoticed. Every item you choose to keep has its own vibration, shaped by its origin, the hands that created it, and the history it has carried. While some objects radiate lightness, joy, and clarity, others hold a weight that can slowly drain your strength and cloud your thinking. Without realizing it, many people surround themselves with items that serve as quiet invitations for unrest, confusion, and spiritual disturbance to take root. This is not limited to obviously dark or harmful items. It can include a statue with a hidden symbolic meaning, a painting that subtly depicts violence or despair, jewelry engraved with symbols tied to negative forces, or gifts from people whose energy is heavy with anger, envy, or pain. These objects can act like open channels, attracting energies similar to what they represent or where they originated from, gradually influencing your emotions, your relationships, and even your physical vitality. Over time, a home that was once filled with comfort can feel tense and unwelcoming, and the cause may not be obvious to the eye, because the shift happens slowly, like dust settling until the air becomes heavy. Awareness is the first act of protection. You must train yourself to look at the things you own not only for their appearance or usefulness, but for the unseen story they carry. Ask yourself, what is the origin of this object? What does it symbolize? Does it support the kind of life I want to live? If the answer brings unease or uncertainty, it is better to release it than to allow it to stay and quietly shape your atmosphere. Removing such objects is not about superstition or fear. It is about taking responsibility for the energy you live with every day. Just as you would not eat food that is spoiled or wear clothing that causes discomfort, you should not allow your space to hold items that disturb the harmony of your environment. When you let them go, You are closing doors that you may never have realized were open, doors that allowed unwanted influences to creep in. This process of cleansing is like breathing fresh air after being in a room that has been closed for too long. The moment you remove the stale energy, the lightness becomes noticeable. You feel more at peace, your thoughts become clearer, and your emotional balance strengthens because the weight that was once pressing on your spirit has been lifted. But the process does not end with removal, it continues with intentional replacement. When a space is cleared of harmful energy, it creates an opening that must be filled with something good, something that resonates with your highest values. Choose objects that carry peace, inspiration, and strength, items that remind you of the life you want to create and the qualities you want to embody. A symbol of wisdom can encourage clarity, an image of nature can restore calm, and a meaningful piece of art can inspire courage. These become more than decorations, they are allies that help guard your space from negative influences. Over time, as you make this practice a habit, your environment will become a reflection of your inner discipline and a shield for your spirit. The more your surroundings are aligned with your truth, the less room there is for disturbance to take hold. In this way, you turn your home, your workspace, and even your personal belongings into a sanctuary. A place where the light is strong enough that no shadow can linger, and where your mind and spirit can grow without obstruction. The environment you live in is more than a backdrop to your daily life. It is an active influence on your thoughts, emotions, and spiritual condition. Every object in your surroundings carries an energy shaped by its creation, its history, and the intentions connected to it. While some things radiate peace, joy, and inspiration, others can carry a heaviness that works quietly against your well-being. Often, these items are kept without much thought. A decorative statue whose origin is unknown, a piece of jewelry marked with unfamiliar symbols, an artwork that subtly reflects fear or aggression, or even a gift from someone whose life is filled with bitterness or turmoil. Although they may seem harmless in appearance, such objects can act as silent invitations for energies that disturb harmony, cloud the mind, and weaken inner strength. The changes they cause are rarely sudden. They happen gradually, like a slow leak that weakens the foundation of a house until the damage becomes visible only after much time has passed. To protect yourself from such hidden influences, the first step is awareness. This requires looking at your belongings with new eyes, beyond their surface beauty or sentimental value, and asking important questions. Where did this come from? What does it represent? How do I feel when I see it or hold it? If the answers reveal uncertainty or a sense of discomfort, it is a sign that the object may not belong in your space. Removing it is not an act of fear, but an act of wisdom, a conscious choice to guard your environment in the same way you would guard your health. Just as you would avoid eating food that is spoiled or contaminated, you must also avoid allowing your personal space to be filled with items that can poison its energy. When such objects are gone, the atmosphere begins to feel lighter, calmer, and more balanced, and the effects can be felt not only in your environment, but also in your mood, relationships, and mental clarity. However, clearing out harmful energy is only half of the work. The other half is to intentionally replace it with what is good and strengthening. When space is left empty, it invites something to fill it, so you must decide what will occupy that space. Choose items that carry positive energy, symbols of wisdom, images of peace, or objects with personal meaning that inspire you to live with integrity and courage. These are not just decorations, they serve as constant reminders of the life you wish to create and the values you stand for. They also act as spiritual anchors, keeping your environment stable even when the outside world is filled with chaos. Over time, the presence of these positive influences begins to shape your thoughts and emotions in the same way that harmful items once did, but now in a direction that strengthens and uplifts you. By making this process a regular practice, you create an environment that reflects the discipline and clarity of your inner world. Your home, workspace, and personal belongings become a sanctuary where your mind can rest and your spirit can grow without interference. The more aligned your surroundings are with your values and intentions, the less room there is for negative forces to take hold. This is not a one-time effort, but an ongoing act of awareness, a way of living in which you choose carefully what you allow into your space, just as you choose what you allow into your mind and heart. Over time, this discipline builds an invisible shield around your life, ensuring that no darkness finds an open door and that you remain in a place of strength, peace, and clarity.